Welcome to Worlds Collide, a wrestling card podcast for wrestling fans by wrestling fans, featuring Tony Vella from WrestlingTradingCards.com.
This is like a stock market.
And Zhan Morning from Wrestling with Cards on YouTube. And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer, I'm just posing the question. Join them as they navigate the world of wrestling cards, helping you build a bigger and better collection and making some money along the way. What's up, wrestling fans? Back again for another week of Worlds Collide. And Tony, kids are priced out of the hobby. They can't find stuff at retail. They can't find stuff at flea markets. What do we do?
I don't know, man. It's a grown man's world now. What can we do? I mean,
of course, I was being a little sarcastic, but today we are going to talk about kids and the wrestling card hobby and how do we help them? How do we get them into it? How do we explain kind of the importance? A lot of stuff to cover. I know it's a big topic, more so in sports cards. We're doing this for the kids. And then the next thing you know, Topps comes out and puts out Topps Series 1 baseball, prints it to the moon. Now all the adults are saying, oh, it's the junk wax era all over again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you
can't please everybody.
No. Man. So what is it? Do you, the excuse always used to be it's for the kids. And I don't know if that's where you got the idea to do this today, but I think that's a good place to start. Like, people say the hobby's for the kids. And I'm like, okay, well, what can we do as adults?
First off, who are these people who say the hobby is for the kids? Because I'm sorry.
A lot of the traditional gatekeeper style people say that.
Yeah, well, because those traditional gatekeeper style type people are still living in 1980.
This is true too. Yeah.
It just doesn't exist anymore. We know that. I mean, hell, kids today can still go out and afford to buy a pack of Pokemon for, $12-15 a pack.
I see kids walking around at shows that have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of cards in their cases.
This is very true too. I mean, how much of that is mom and dad buying it for them and how much is them from their paper routes? I have no idea.
It's probably a combination of both, but I also see that, sorry if I'm stepping on toes, but some of these 10-year-olds are better at wheeling and dealing and negotiating than some of you wrestling card collectors.
That is so true. Like, I'm afraid of some of these 10-year-olds.
Me too. So one thing I think that's mentioned, and again, it could be sports cards because people are like, what are kids going to care about in 10 years or 15 years or 40 years when they're adults with disposable income? How do we get kids into the hobby? How do we make kids kind of understand what we do, how it's fun, especially in 2022 as recording this, where there's so many different avenues of entertainment. Hypothetically, if you have an internet connection and a smartphone or a tablet, like, the world is yours as far as free entertainment. So to try to convince kids in 2022 that, hey, these pieces of cardboard are cool and collecting is cool, and kind of this, I think society's changed a little bit from the materialistic that we were like in the 80s with the disposable income, and then through the 90s with all the propaganda of like toys and, video games and all these fun, awesome things. I think society's changed a little bit as far as that goes. What do you think as far as anything I just said, and what can we do to get kids into the hobby and like have them understand how cool these pieces of cardboard really are and the connections that we make with them?
Well, to the manufacturer's credit, it's not like for a lack of trying, because some Topps put out some things years ago that was very sticker based, pop out little standout figure type things on trading cards, puzzles, animated type things of like, CM Punks and Undertaker kind of things that I don't think really went over very well. I don't know. I mean, I get that the price point was probably cheaper for that kind of thing, but that's not really the kind of kids I think I'd be targeting. I think I'd be targeting more of those who are, probably that teenage years or even like the preteen years that are actually out there. That are Mysterio fans like that. I guess they've always kind of gone and towards kids where they're saying like, well, they're kids, let's give them kiddie things.
Yes,
well,
that's the problem.
That's the problem. You don't have to give them kiddie things. Don't give them little like, oh, you can build and pop out your own thing and be little stand-ups of your cards like that. No, I want my trading cards. Well, we have stickers of I want my trading cards. No one says you have to put in a one-of-one refractor super atomic from the sun moon galaxy card, thing in there. You can you don't have to put that kind of our autographs there. You don't have to do that really necessarily. Um, but you can put just a regular base card set and just have it kind of fun. Maybe you might want to go and through some throwback and throw something new where the backs maybe make a puzzle or something like that. I don't know. That makes a bigger card,
Right.
But I think that whoever handles the marketing departments for some of these big companies like that just don't seem to get what kids are into. I think if you design something at a low level that doesn't have to have memorabilia, superfractors, one of ones, autographs, if you can sprinkle in something like that for a low price point of like, 40, 50, 60 bucks a box, you might be onto something there that way. You can get some kids
Yeah.
probably collecting then. But at the same token, you look at Upper Deck and doing their AEW stuff, you're getting great value in retail stuff for only 20 bucks.
Yep.
I think that's pretty, but then you have all these guys going out there and they're buying up all this stuff and kids are like, oh, there's never anything at Walmart. There's never anything at Target. I can't buy it because it's all gone. You guys buy it all. Trust me, I'm all for putting limits on stuff like that. I don't think you should have someone come in there and go, oh, I got lucky. They just freshly stocked all the ADs. I took all 20 boxes. I don't think it's really right for anybody else. That's part of the hoarding mentality of people like trying to flip. People's like, I don't want to give away my stuff. You're not getting new people into the hobby.
Right.
So I think that, maybe going at kids and give them that kind of price point, there's ways for them to get in. I'm going way off. Just what do you got? What are your thoughts, man? I can go forever on this.
I think probably one thing that I kind of struggle with seeing is and this is even like, people that are not quite kids, but maybe like, I don't know, I'm just kind of spitballing here, like maybe the high school to young adults, like in their early 20s, that's some of them don't even understand the importance of cardboard. It seems like if they're a wrestling fan, they go after video games. They like to go to the live events and buy the t-shirt and buy whatever it is that, they associate there that they sell
But
at the
you're
merch
talking an
tables.
age group. You're talking an age group though that's like, end of their high school year, beginning of college years.
But I'm
When
saying
most of us during that time frame, we disconnected from wrestling. We disconnected. I don't care what era you grew up in. You disconnected because you were now living a world that was different. Like I didn't have to grow up. I didn't have to watch wrestling in my early 20s because I was experiencing new things in life. I was in college. I was having my first career or jobs like that. I was doing my, these are, I didn't have time to watch wrestling. I wasn't interested. So therefore I'm not collecting. Why would I collect if I'm not following the
so.
product?
Let me back up then. I guess we can bounce this off of one another. When you start collecting when you were a kid, no matter if it was like real small, preteen, whatever it is, like what was the draw for you to collect pieces of cardboard?
I grew up that way. I mean, baseball cards were introduced to me at a very young age. Probably one of my earliest memories ever of 5, 6 years old, maybe, of just getting baseball cards and going through my 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, 12 years old. And like I've told the story before, having like a shoebox with construction paper cut out and putting all my teams in alphabetical order by name.
So right. So what that right there, that the act of doing that, like what was the draw as a kid for you to understand the importance of organization and associating those with what you're watching? I guess
I was drawn to it. I thought it was kind of a cool thing. Like I'd sit back and I watch a baseball game and I have my cards there. So I felt that if I organized them a certain way, that it was a great way to kind of get like a snapshot of someone that I'm watching now on TV going, hey, that's Thurman Munson. I have his card, Yankees. Oh, he's a catcher. He hit 26 home runs last year. I was able to go and kind of connect that way. I was able for me to connect. I felt closer to that baseball play. Like, they're playing all the way in New York against the Angels, but I still feel like I'm kind of there because I have his card. And I see him like that's him. That's like I got a piece of something that belongs. It's kind of a him.
Right.
That's kind of how I felt with wrestling when I got into wrestling in the '80s. Card collecting wise, I was wrestling even younger than that as far as growing up with it. But I just like I got a piece of Hulk Hogan. Like it's a trading card of him. He's got the title. It's kind of cool. Like I see him on Saturdays. I see him on TV, you know, I watch it, you know, and it was a way I connected that way. And I think there's a connect with kids today who do watch wrestling. Like a case in point, my wife and I took we took a family friend's son who was 10 at the time, a few years ago. So 2019, 18, 19, 19, 2019. We took I took our friend because he just got into wrestling, was watching on TV, was a fan of it, loved the Bella twins, because of the whole Bella their
The
TV
show.
show.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so he got into wrestling because of the Bella twin stuff. He just thought they were hot as a 10-year-old, and then became the wrestlers and started watching wrestling. And so at the time, my client Kurt Angle he was employed with at the time. He hooked up with tickets. We went to the show. That was the night that Brock Lesnar beat the crap out of Dominic.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And so we're just sitting there and we're having a good time, and all of a sudden I get the WWE official comes over and goes, "Are you Tony Villa?" Yeah, it's like, "Come with me." Like, what do we do? What do we do? And all of a sudden he takes us backstage. We go backstage. We meet Kurt. He gets to meet Kurt in the catering area. Randy Orton comes in, says hello. Ric Flair comes up, says hello. All these guys come. And as a kid, his name is Diego. He's having the time of his life. He's just like, this is awesome. We're like in the catering night, we get to eat on Vince's dime. We're drinking on drinks on Vince's dime.
Not
it's
too many
awesome,
people can say that.
It's like you're sitting there. It's like having a great time. And my wife and Kurt are having a conversation. There's, a Hurricane who I worked with before in the past. Look at him and go, "What are you doing here?" And I go, "I fucking know." It was just a surreal moment for as a kid. He's taking it all in. He's a fan. That's the kid who's like into it, watching all this stuff like that, being immersed in like that, following characters, liking things. Those are the kind of kids that could potentially become card collectors down the road, because it's a simple, easy way to be involved and kind of connect with the product and say, I've got my Rey Mysterio card, I've got my Carmella card, or whatever you're into at the time, whoever, my Dolph Ziggler card, or in your case, The Miz, whatever.
The Miz, of course.
Whatever it is that you got, it's like that. You have something that you can connect with the character on TV, and it doesn't have to be stickers. Don't dumb down. Don't insult. The kids are so smart today. I got a 3-year-old son who, in probably about 2 years like that, so he's already probably smarter than I am. So it's just, don't insult your audience. And I think that the major manufacturers can make cards geared towards kids. It doesn't have to be, hey, here's your sticker, here's your pop-up, here's your little, it doesn't have to be stupid. Like, kids aren't that way anymore. Kids are smart. Kids want to feel like they're adults without being adults. And I think you can feed that into them by giving them a product that is something that me as a parent, because I'm a parent, that can go into and be with my kid and open a box and not break my bank, open a box. And if my kid, who's only 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years old, wants to bend his cards and put them in the spokes, I don't care. It didn't cost me a lot. It's just him. He's connecting with the talent. He's connecting with the product. There's just so much potential that's there. And I don't know why manufacturers aren't out there considering their future, in cards. There's more than just us 30, 40, 50-year-old guys out there who might want to, buy cards 20 years from now.
Yeah. I pretty much connect with you on all levels. When I started, it was just what you said. It was, and it was, I had baseball cards growing up, and I was like, kind of interested. I was a huge basketball fan in the mid to like early to mid 90s. When I was a kid, Shaq came along and that was it. And then Dennis Rodman came along and I was like, oh my gosh, these guys, and down the road, I found out they're wrestling. That was just like mind blowing, but
bonus.
Yeah. But I was like, I connected with them. I was like, I want all the like, those are my guys. And still to this day, I have a lot of their cards, and those are my collecting. I connect with them. But then I also started learning, like you said, I would be watching NBA on TNT, random, Friday night or whatever. And I would say, oh, the Atlanta Hawks. I've got the card from the, and I'm like, probably 10 years old or something. And I did
And at the
exactly.
time, you weren't caring about value. You weren't
Nope.
caring about rookie cards.
Nope.
You weren't caring. You just wanted them because you connected with them.
Yep. Especially the ones I didn't have, because that's where I've carried that kind of super collector mentality into what I'm doing with carrying cross, is going after all that stuff. The other thing that really got me into cards is around that time other people were doing it, start trading. The next thing I know, people see us trading. They want to start their own collection. They want to start trading with us. And then the next thing
People
I,
attract more people.
yep. And that was it for me. That was where I understood how cool cards were. And I always had a Beckett. But here's the thing. I didn't look at the Beckett for, okay, this is worth $1. I'm going to sell it for $1. It was like, okay, if this is worth $1 and this person's got, you know, 5 20-cent cards, that would be an even trade. It was always trading. Like,
Yeah.
that would be an even trade. And that taught me a lot about negotiating and trading in second and third grade. So that's what drew me. But then I go back and I put myself at that same age now, and I'm like, well, everybody's got a smartphone. Got video games are free essentially on anything. How would I, if I was that age now, would I still be connecting with it? And I think that's kind of, in my opinion, that's kind of the conundrum we're in, is where do we get, with all the noise, all the different ways you can be entertained? If they're a wrestling fan and they're gravitated to the figures or the t-shirts or the video games, especially video games, how do we get them to understand how important these cardboards are and the connection that all of us that have been doing it for a while can make with it? And I think, marketing, like you said, but I think people can market all day long and still people just don't get it. Like, I don't know about you. I can show people that even my age that grew up collecting with me that are like, I wouldn't say friends, but just kind of people you run into occasionally that you've known for a while. And you could talk about, hey, I really like this card. And like, oh yeah, I remember Hulk Hogan, blah, blah, blah. I used to watch him. Or I remember The Rock. And like, yeah. And this card's like a couple $1,000s now. And they're just like, okay, well, I got this new truck over here. You want to come to,
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's still hard for some people that we talk to. So I'm just constantly trying to figure that out. I love your idea about, having that base product for kids and adults alike. I mean, we've got,
Well, I think it's a great entry form for them too,
yeah,
because I don't get the questions that you get. I did get a question that I answered on one of my WTC shorts, where someone had asked, hey, I have a 10-year-old that is now interested in cards, and I'm getting back into cards. And I think it's a great way for me to teach them about economics, about how to, networking, all the different facets that he had that he thought would be beneficial about
mm-hmm,
doing cards. And he wanted to know about things like, where should I go to get like some cheap lots and do this and do that. So I tried to help him as much as I could on the episode, and privately as well. So I think there's a lot of people out there who are my age, or even younger, whatever, like that have kids that maybe are watching wrestling. That's something that be a good connect between the parent and the child. And that
agreed.
parent can go and teach their child, if they're a card collector, the importance of certain kinds of cards, and if they're into it for like the monetary type aspects like that. Yeah, but at the same time, just sharing something with their kid, whether it be their own kid or a niece or nephew, it's like that. Just getting into it and just saying, hey, this is something we have in common. I'm a wrestling fan. You like wrestling? I think it's kind of cool too. You should see some stuff back from when I was a kid. So like I had Hulk Hogan and this and that. You've got Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, and got Chris Jericho and all these, Kenny Omega. It's a great way to connect and then get them into collecting, and it'd be kind of a nice entry point if there's something there that, yeah, as a collector, I can still go and buy, because I'm a collector of wrestling cards. It's still cheap. I like that cheap flagship, whatever it is per year if they
Mm-hmm.
had it. But I can also get my kid into it as well too, because it's cheap enough to get in
Well,
there.
and the connection you talk about now, we've got YouTube, we've got WWE
Yeah.
Network, we've got all these other promotions, indie promotions and stuff that have these pay-per-view things that you can connect with.
And
So,
clearly kids are watching it, because when for me, doing some some homework before I decided the idea of opening up a store here in Phoenix,
mm-hmm,
was to go to a couple of live events to see, are these selling out? Are people fans in this area? I mean, I know it's, not every market is the same, obviously. So I go in there, in the place, I went to a SmackDown and a Raw, and they were both sold out. And there were a lot of kids there, a lot of kids. So I know kids are following the product. So it's not a matter of like I know there's a lot of different things. Like there's a whole, like you said,
Hmm.
there's YouTube and this and that, and, and there's a lot of different things to take their attention in places. But they're watching wrestling because they're there, whether they're there for themselves because they're fans, or they're there because their parents dragged them and it's a connect for the two of them. I don't know, but they're still there. So
It
there's a
works both
market for it.
ways.
Yeah.
One other thing I like that Upper Deck did that's kind of, I don't know that they were trying to do this, but I love that they're having the exclusive yellow parallel cards in with the action
Yeah.
figures. Does that mean that both the parent and the kid both get something together? Because the parent can take the cards or vice versa. Maybe the parent
Yeah.
is a figure collector and the kid wants the cards. Maybe that's a good entryway to get the kid into cards and understand I've
It
got the
very well could
I've got
be.
the
I mean,
figure, I've got the card, and I see them both on my TV. Like, I don't
yeah,
know.
I mean, that's a great observation there. I think that could actually be the case because I'm telling you, Upper Deck and AEW are firing on all cylinders, man, because everything they're doing for the trading card aspect of it, and AEW in itself too, for all their merchandise too, they get it. They're promoting all their craps like that. But when it comes to like the trading cards, I mean, up until I mean, now I see Impact's doing it now too. I see
Yeah.
Armand from Wrestling Trading Cards. You know, he put up there that there was an advertisement for an upcoming new series of 2022 cards.
Hmm.
Who does that? You know who did that? They're inspired by AEW. They did
Right.
it. Upper Deck did it with AEW, and they get behind their products like that. I think that's crucial. It's important. I think that maybe that's where we're seeing the spike. Maybe because maybe there's some kids out there that are getting into
Marketing.
AEW cards. Marketing is key, man. Marketing is key. Tops never did it. I don't know if it's because of budget. I don't know if it's because of their relationship with WWE and they're the ones to put the stomp on it. I would tend to believe that maybe WWE does that kind of stuff because they're so controlling. But I don't know. AEW gets it. Upper Deck gets it. They're putting it out there. Maybe that you're talking about 2022. We are seeing the year where things start to change. Where not only is our hobby expand because we're like, oh, the Prison Boys are coming in, and this and upper. Maybe it's because expanding because kids are getting into it now.
Could
Maybe.
be. I think, and that actually leads into the next thing I want to talk about is price point, because remember, it's for the kids. We've got to keep it
Yeah.
cheap. You can't run this as a business. Well, you just mentioned that, maybe it's not those people, maybe it is the kids coming in. And like, I just want to argue against the people for a couple different reasons. Number one, it's for the kids. They're priced out. You can go on my website right now and pick up tons of wrestling cards for 99 cents with 73 cents shipping. I've got promotions that you can do any kind of order that's over 10 cards, you get free bubble mailer shipping. So if you order 100 cards, it's free shipping. So there's affordable options out there. I'm not saying that you need to go to my store. I mean, if you want to buy something, you can, but go out there to eBay, ComC. I'm sure I'm forgetting some other places. There are wrestling cards out there that you can buy. Maybe it's cheap beat up stuff. Maybe it's something that you do have a connection to for kids, whether you're just giving it away to kids, whether it is for your kid and you're going to try to bond between them and the cards and what you think is important and explain to them that process. So I think the whole price point argument is a bunch of crap because and it's a teaching moment too, like as far as like economics. I learned a lot when I was a kid from cards, buying cards for myself. I worked for cards. I might do chores for one card, but the more chores I got, the more cards I got. And then I learned how to change those cards into cards I wanted. And
Mm-hmm.
that is what I'm doing today with cards that I buy in collections, putting on eBay to then buy the cards I want or pay for whatever needs to be paid for. A lot of teaching opportunities within cards that I hope people kind of will start teaching others. That's what I try to do is just, and I'm trying to teach adults even like
Yeah.
the economics of like how you can work in trading cards and the connections that I
Which
have
was
with them.
exactly
So
what that father was telling me in that message that he was trying to connect, introduce his son and teach him things about like that economics, how the way he worded it, I'd have to go back and read it. It's like that. The way he worded it was like very like, it was a very good father son type of thing for him to get for them to connect and have something kind of fun to collect as well. It's like that. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, there's definitely obviously avenues to do that if you want to go and out and do the homework. Obviously, it's always about doing the homework. going out there and finding you want to buy individual cards. The flip side of that is I don't want to buy your individual cards. I want to buy a box and open up a box of product to go and enjoy with my kid, like I used to do, like I can afford to do. So there is that argument there.
Yeah, I can't deny that. And
Yeah.
that's just,
but if I want to go in and buy, like, hey, I'm a a Roman Reigns fan like that, or I'm a Sami Zayn fan like, I can go to Zhan Morning's eBay page and probably find some things and start a little small collection of that kind of stuff with my kid. It's affordable.
Recently I do this a lot. I love buying collections. Everybody knows that, but like I went to the LCS and picked up the same one that started me with that $15 box that got me to where I am today. I picked up another box of just like random baseball, and I think it was like $25 for a 4-row box. So 3,200 plus cards, and it was just fun going through it. And I've talked to some other people who buy and sell a lot, like almost like dealers, and we're all kind of on the same page that even though you're buying this stuff to sell, going through, spending the amount that you'd spend on a blaster box to buy just like a random amount of junk, so to speak, a lot of that, you're getting that same like dopamine effect as you are opening cards. Like it's fun to go through, you don't know what you're going to get, and you get a lot more for your money. So that's why I like to kind of tell people to just go buy random lots, or pick out who's your favorite kids wrestler, go pick out some singles for them, put them together in a team bag, and then hand them the team bag, because that's going to have the same concept of like opening a pack to a extent. Just but I've always been one to kind of find like no excuses. Like if there's a way to do something and it's out there, try to find a way to do it. So I understand the pack and box thing though, because I mean that's how we grew up.
Yep.
So
you want your kids to kind of have that experience a little bit too. I would think the kids should have an experience of ripping open something and the mystery of what could be inside of it.
So kind of closing out, some ideas that maybe what could the products do to help the kids get more involved. And one thing I want to mention is, you said it, the kids want what the adults have. So the thing that I look at with that is, what do adults have? They've got the Zion Pelican cases or whatever that have all the slabs. They've got showcases that have all the slabs. They're setting up at shows. They're doing these things. So I'm starting to, we talked about when we started the show, seeing these kids walking around with, bigger like dollar amount collections than I will probably ever have. And you have to wonder, how did that happen? Is that the parents' money? Is that their money that they flipped into, and also combined like lawn mowing money and with that? But like, some of these kids out there are showing the effort to get to that point that these adults are doing, and in some cases surpassing them. So how, like, I think this is a whole economic teaching thing again. Like, there's a lot that goes into grading cards and trading and negotiating. Do you think that's like, I don't know. I'm wondering if that's maybe just a specific segment, and maybe that doesn't really apply to wrestling cards, or do you think
it applies? But it's also just, it's one section. It's one sector of everything in life. That there's going to be those kind of people who are that dedicated, that resolved to go out and do the homework to level up, as it were. It's like that. There's certain kids who are built that way. Certain people are built that way. Others are not. Some just want to open up, and in our hobby, just want to rip open stuff and just have fun with it. And and
that's adults too. We've seen that. Yeah.
And adults too. I mean, I'm one of those kids. I'm one of those kids that, I did put cards in my bike spokes at the same time that I also didn't, because I just I didn't care about that particular card, because that's not somebody I cared about.
Gotcha.
I would save my Tom Seaver, my Johnny Bench, and my Joe Morgans, and my Pete Rose, and my, I'd save those ones. I'd save those cards, but I'd put in like, John Smith, who nobody knew. So I don't even think Mr. and Mrs. Smith even knew who that kid was. I put that in my bike spokes like that. I would have fun with that. But I went through all different kinds of things. I also was a stupid kid. I'm going to admit this right now.
Here we go.
I was that stupid kid that I thought if it looked old, it'd be more valuable. Let me take my Hank Aaron, RBI leader, rank it all up, make it all nice and wrinkled, and flatten it all back out. That's old. Look at that. It's old. not knowing that, oh,
Right.
condition means something. I didn't know any better. I'm like,
Right.
7 years old, I didn't know any better. I'm also the same guy talking about Tom Seaver. I'm the guy who took my Johnny Bench and Tom Seaver rookie cards and I traded them for the brand new, never before ever done before, a Sony Walkman because
I
nobody
bet
had
there's,
one.
yeah, I bet there's a lot of stories like that
Yeah,
out there.
and it broke 2 weeks later. But I got 2 weeks of being like the cool kid in the street, man, walking around with my headphones, listening to my music, man. I'm on the crew. Iron Maiden. I got Iron Maiden in here, man. So yeah, we do stupid things, but trading cards could be a great way. And I don't even care. Like, I would love for you to be in wrestling. Obviously, it's our passion is wrestling cards. But any trading cards of any kind, whether it be sports, non-sport, you want to be tennis, you want to be, I don't care what it
Pokemon,
is.
that's we talked, we
Pokemon,
had Drake on talking about
yeah.
how his son was into Pokemon that got him into
Per-
Pokemon.
Perfect examples like that. You have a connection with a family member, whether it be a father son, father daughter, mother son. I don't care what it is. You connect. You guys are engaging. It's a great opportunity that you can go, and we've talked about the economics of it, negotiating and this and that, even how to take care of things.
Yeah.
It can be played into that too. Is like, how to store your collections like that. We all do it differently. But it's got to start with manufacturers and companies and cards out there putting stuff out there that is affordable for kids to have to rip open together with, or you have to go the other route of like saying, well, I'm going to go out there and shop for the Zhan morning eBay stores and pick out my 99-cent cards and get my son, daughter, or whatever it's like that into collecting it. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to do it. Figure out what's right for you, but I wish manufacturers would still make it available, something that's not appealing to the flippers, but if it's just appealing to like kids who want to collect and look something cool.
Yeah, and something else, it's our job, we do this content to obviously help out people, but most kids have a smartphone now, which is strange. Like, if somebody told me I would have a smartphone when I was 10 years old, I'd be like, what
You
is
will
that?
never have a calculator.
Yeah.
You can't carry it everywhere you want.
Exactly. So, what happens if one of them is looking up something for WWE or NXT or AEW, and all of a sudden they stumble onto one of our channels or someone else's channels, or a box break? That's, I think it's partially our job to, when we're doing content, like, we have to keep in mind that there's a lot younger people that are able to watch these things now.
Sure.
And understand it better than what we would have as kids, where we just kind of went to the store, buy a box, and like, if we have a family member to help, that's cool. But if not, like, what are we, like, we just kind of have to learn on our own. So I think it's kind of the responsibility, if we're going to grow the hobby, not only with adults and getting sports cards people and lapsed wrestling fans or people just buying figures, I think it's our job to also educate kids as well as the adults. So
yeah, I mean, I would love nothing. Well, how cool would it be to go on and find out on YouTube one day, it's like this channel he found run by like a 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid talking about their wrestling card collection. How cool would that
that would be
be?
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, this all started, I was watching this YouTube channel called WrestlingTradingCards.com, and the next thing you know, you're the guest on their show. That'd be fantastic.
I'm a guest on their show. Like, I mean, it could be the next. Like, that's why I love and respect what guys like Brody the Kid been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's in conjunction with his dad, it's like that, whatever it's going to be. I mean, we've watched him grow up. For those who've been watching for a while, you've seen him kind of grow up. Sooner or later, when he turns 18, he's like, you got to be Brody the Man now, because you ain't no kid no more. It's just but he's out there to get kids into the hobby of collecting cards like that. I don't think he's specific about any type of card, just in the hobby of trading cards, period. But how cool would it be to see a kid who's like, no, I specialize. I really love wrestling cards. I'm really into wrestling cards, and does a YouTube channel that's like that, or some kind of content, or is on Twitter promoting, like, his own, like, doing Twitter videos like that, or Instagram, or Facebook group. I don't care. I mean, somebody out there like who's into it. How cool would that be?
It would be awesome. Hopefully we'll see it soon. We've seen it with sports cards. Maybe if wrestling cards take off, that's the next thing. And like, I don't know where it starts, because like a lot of the kids like that are making content, you see some, I said earlier, you've got some walking around at these shows that you see on YouTube with cases that are worth more than a person's house. But there's a lot of them that also have slabs or player collections or team collections or just stuff they like, that they're still motivated to be in the hobby and collect and trade. And sure, they learned that they can make some money, but that's also not what it's all about to them. And you can tell by some of the content.
Yep.
So like, it's just kind of getting people to that level, especially within wrestling cards, and having that connection. So we'll see what happens. All right. Anything else that maybe we did not touch on before we get out of here?
No, I think we got a good grasp on the hobby here with kids like that. And I know who's to say. I mean, what's going to happen? Panini certainly isn't going to have. They have no really super cheap products, right? Was it Chronicles?
Chronicles is pretty cheap, and I like it because it gives such a different variety of styles of cards. That maybe
that's it.
Yeah, that may be a really good contender. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Upper Deck has anything intended in the future. I know they have one more release for this year, and then I did the interview with Billy when we had it on, and he talked about. I know that they've got 3 designs already put in place for 2023. So I mean, I don't know if any of those include a lower tier type of thing, and who knows? But maybe Panini will do it with the WWE stuff, with that Chronicle stuff. I'm not overly familiar with it, but it could happen.
Well, and marketing, we just keep going back to that. What happens if WWE finally, part of the deal with Panini is the marketing aspect? And
it'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be that would blow the roof off of it, I think.
I think it would. Can you imagine watching Monday Night Raw or SmackDowns like that, and you see a little lower left-hand corner, you just see a little advertisement for trading cards like that?
Yep.
Having a commentator on there, actually, Michael Cole talking
opening
about
packs in between matches or something.
Yeah, like, oh, it's because our new Chronicles like that. Kids, you gotta get. That would be amazing. I mean, 5 seconds, 10 seconds of like talk time on TV will go a long way to getting a lot of new, fresh eyeballs on the product, especially kids.
100% agree. And with that, let everybody know where they can find you and anything you got going on.
Well, kids, you can find us at WrestlingTradingCards.com. That's where everything you'd ever want to know about all the wrestling cards out there, checklist, information, images, all coming. That's the place to go, man. Everything you want to contact us is on WrestlingTradingCards.com. All of the social media links are at the bottom of every single page. And what about you?
Wrestling with Cards on YouTube, Wrestling with Cards, the podcast. Since we're kind of marketing to kids here, hey guys, if you have a smartphone, both of those are available for free. You don't have to pay anything. Just search them. You'll find them.
You don't need your parents' permission.
You do not, which is about opposite of everything we heard when we were seeing advertisements as kids. But check out the podcast, the YouTube channel, Patreon page, the eBay store I mentioned. I do have links. Links to everything we've talked about will be in the show notes of this podcast. More important than that, though, if you thought we brought you some value today, whatever that value may be, please subscribe and tell somebody about the show. Tell somebody that's got kids about the show. Lapsed wrestling fans, the kind of people that we're always trying to reach out to. Let them know these shows exist. Wrestling card content is out there. And subscribe. Leave us a review if you're digging it. And until next week, thanks for listening. We'll see you.